Hi, Tasha. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good evening, Sharon.
Oh, wow. Good evening.
How about you? Can you smile any bigger?
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm a happy person. Huh?
You happy to see me?
I'm very happy to see you. All right. So let's get into our conversation tonight at AQ Chat tonight. Are you open and do you like it? Right? So, and for anybody watching, get your dirty mind out the gutter, right? It's about being open-minded. Right?
I can stay in the gutter for a little while.
Open mind. So let me ask you, do you consider yourself an open-minded person?
Sometimes. Is that an okay answer? For real, I think it's according to the situation. I'm not gonna front. Maybe no, my mind is not open about certain things.
What do you think you're open-minded about?
That's a loaded question. Listen, I think I'm open-minded about people's choice in lifestyle.
Okay.
I think I'm open-minded about people's choice in people's choices, just in general. Like whatever you choose to do, if you like it, I love it. Hey, Gail.
Hey, Gail. It's so good to have you join us this evening. I think and because of what I do for a living, which is in public relations, and I often have to deal with the media, I got taught, and just having a background in television, I learned very early in my career how the truth can be manipulated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not what's told to you, it's what hasn't been shared, where that can change the entire perspective of what you think or know about a situation.
Right.
So I generally try to hold and reserve judgment on things until I have more detail.
Oh, is that the opposite of being open-minded, being judgmental?
Wait, is my way of thinking the opposite?
No. I'm saying like in general, you saying you reserve judgment. So that means you're being open-minded. So is the opposite of being open-minded being judgmental?
I think if you are closed-minded and you believe things should go a certain way, and that's the way it should go and not any other way, then that lens, closed-mindedness, is a kissing cousin to being judgmental.
Oh, kissing cousin, but
I mean, it's not a big leap to get there.
Yeah, because I'm going to judge you if you don't do it the way that I think it should be done.
Right.
Not necessarily.
Really? So for me, right, I remember being in the newsroom and I could edit someone's statements to say what I wanted them to say. Now, it would go on to now, granted, I use all of my powers for good, but I didn't have to.
In the layman's world, we call that lying.
But what you saw on television was you saw the person say it. You heard their voice. You heard them on the screen. You saw it. You heard it. So it's very hard to dispute, right? And so that taught me very, very quickly. Oh, wait a minute. There's some puppet masters going on here.
Yeah.
Right? You got to know the entire context.
You do. It's funny. I had this conversation today about something that's happening at work, and how they have these big town hall meetings and they give these presentations, or they send out these announcements about something that's happened, and it's all like marketing, like, because it's, like you said, they're phrasing the words to paint the picture and give you this perception, when you sit on this side going, really? Like, that's not exactly how it's happening. Yeah, right. Exactly how it's happening.
And so let's just go into what are we talked about this, like, what are the downsides of not being open? What would you say?
Missed opportunities, I think, would be number one.
I think it impacts your quality of life. I think when you become so rigid, right, that you can only see things in one way, you become things that are rigid break easily. fracture very easily.
Or they just hold and they don't break.
Really? that becomes very isolating
and boring.
And boring. Absolutely. Because anything that
I agree with you. I'm just,
I know, listen, I feel that, right? And so something that I know that we learned with Tony Robbins is that part of the excitement of life is just being surprised by some things. If everything in life is predictable, there is no excitement.
Well, that's according to who you are. That's a matter of opinion.
Is it?
Yeah.
If you knew what was going to happen for every day of your life for the rest of your life, there'd be no anticipation for anything.
Well, anticipation and excitement are different.
Again, kissing cousins.
Listen,
I mean, I'm anticipating a trip.
I can be excited because things go my way. Right?
Oh.
Yeah, we're just different people, right? And so again, it's perception. It's a matter of who you are and a matter of what you like and what excites you, right?
So
some things do not like surprises. And so a surprise is not going to excite them. I'm not one, I don't mind surprises, right? Surprise me. I love gifts and parties and flowers and things. Surprise me.
All right, so let's talk about this in an accountability relationship, right? So has there been a time where you felt like maybe
I'm on the hot seat?
Well, I'm asking you, has there been a time where you felt like maybe I wasn't open, right? And like, how did you have to work for me to get open?
Oh, well, the way my memory is set up.
I know.
I thought you were going to ask me, but is there a time where you haven't been open? That might be hard for me. You might remember something, but I would say I feel like that you are open to hearing other perspectives about the situation. I mean, so much so that you seek out other perspectives about a situation so as not to be closed-minded and to take everything into consideration. So
I do. But I'm also, listen, I've told you the story and I'll say it here. I had a very embarrassing situation and I thought I was 100% in the right. And I thought the person that I was in this altercation with, how dare he? That was just so wrong. I was on my high horse. My very dear friend Danae came back and said, you were a jerk.
Oh, right.
I was a jerk. Girl, you were a jerk. And let me tell you why. And I had to go back and apologize. And we've talked about this before, the having to apologize. And so we couldn't get to the first place because I could never get off the apology. Like, oh my God, I got to apologize. I can never get. That taught me a very good lesson as well.
So listen, there's another advantage of being open. You don't have to always go back and apologize. Right?
You find your motivation. Talk about an accountability tip. You find your motivation wherever you can. Right?
That's right.
Now, have you ever found a situation where you not being open has maybe either helped or harmed you? I won't presume anything.
Again, I feel like I'm on the hot seat tonight. Like I should have gotten some prep questions. Has there been a time where not being open has helped or harmed me? I cannot think of a situation. Can you?
Possibly. But what I will say, I think the importance about having an accountability partner that you trust is part of that is them showing you other perspectives on how to see it.
I always see other perspectives. And I will say that it's not something that I necessarily seek out. I have an accountability partner. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who often brings the other perspective. And I do have other women in my life that I talk to, specifically about being married, right? And oftentimes I need a different perspective because when you're really close to the situation, it's hard to see some things, right? And I'm new to this. I mean, I've
Girl,
been in
wait a minute, you knew?
for 11 years, but that's nothing compared to, the people that I have in my life who've been married for 30 and 40 years. And, I want to be there. So I'm blessed to have, like you call it, the village of people who are able to bring those perspectives. And so I just have to, I'm learning. I can be rigid. I'm not even going to front. Listen, I like things the way I like them. I like when I plan things for them to go the way that I plan them. And so I am in that learning process on seeking out other perspectives and considering them.
Well, listen, it's a start, right? All right, so let's go over some tips that people should know so they can pursue being open, because the reality is being rigid is just that. There is very little good upside to being rigid. It just means that when things don't go your way,
over to rigid people. I mean,
it's not being open, being stuck in your way when things can only go your way is rigid. But I am not trying to, first, I haven't said, Tasha, you're rigid. So I'm just going to say, please don't project.
Okay, go ahead with the tips. Let's hear it.
All right. So for one thing is fight the urge to react in anger when you hear different opinions. Right. And unfortunately, we see that a lot in the world today. If you have a differing opinion, it is automatically met with such, and you really can't have much conversation.
Yeah.
You can't hear because you've got such an emotional reaction to what someone says.
Right. I have, during my coaching training, we practiced active listening, which is very difficult if you're used to always having an opinion and always talking. And so it was wait, WAIT. Why am I talking?
Oh,
so just wait, right? Listen and wait. Listen.
Yeah.
It's an art that we have lost, I think, in our culture. We don't listen very well.
No.
You are a very good listener.
Well,
this is Praise Sharon night, I guess. You're a very good listener and you have a really good memory. And I appreciate that about you. But yes, I have at work, I have these sort of, reactions. Like I want to cut somebody off, not because I'm trying to be mean, but because one, I don't want to forget my thought. And so I've learned to write my questions down. I write my thoughts down. But yes, wait, why am I talking?
Yeah. Another tip, avoid closing yourself off. Listen, I love my 90-year-old OG, Aunt Edie, right? And we talk every week and many times, multiple times in 1 week. And there's something that she always says. She says, I never want to stop learning. I never want to stop. I never want to feel. At 90 years old, having been married for almost 70 years, have had seen all kinds of things happen, change in this world. She says, I never want to get to a point where I think I know everything, that I can't learn anything more.
Yeah.
And so we have such tremendous conversations because we're often talking about what we've learned and we share with each other during the week. So she's my inspiration. If at 90 years old, she can say, I want to be open-minded, and I hadn't thought about that before. Sharon, I'm gonna think about this week, and I'm gonna come back. And here's what she'll say to me: I'm gonna think about that this week, and when we talk next week, I'm gonna come back and tell you my thoughts about it. Right? She actually takes the time to say, let me challenge my thoughts. Maybe the way I thought, maybe there's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, I agree with Aunt Edie. In a practice today, I was working on an assignment and we had to write down our core values. And education was one of my core values, that continuous learning. It is something that I value in every situation, right? Not necessarily, brick and mortar higher education, but the continuous learning. That.
So Gail says, correct. Listening is an action word. It is. All right. Place yourself out of your comfort zone. That, to me, is where staying in place and being committed to your beliefs and not it keeps you in a safe comfort zone, which actually keeps your world very small, right? When you open yourself up to new opportunities and you actually expand your experience, and you don't have. And so I say that to say, like, give an example of someone who's scared to try anything new, scared to try anything different. I'm not going to eat that food. I only eat chicken.
Right.
But there's a whole world of food of different tastes and flavors. Just give me chicken with ketchup. You know how small?
You mentioned food as the example because that's immediately where my mind went, right? If I'm rigid about certain things, food is one of the things that I'm not. I will try anything once from a food perspective.
Okay, I'll give you once. You're right.
I'll try anything once.
I mean, but you got some hard, fast rules on food.
Well, I'll try it once.
I'm giving you that.
The hard and fast rules are because I know how food affects my body. So, come on.
The food, the fruit can't be warm. Can't have.
I said I would try anything once. I went out to a Thai restaurant and it was like I'm not gonna make the face, right? It was a dessert with like warm rice and coconut milk and none of that sounds right to me.
Yeah.
But I tried it once.
Proud of you, dear.
Thanks.
All right. But place yourself, that's a tip for you though, a person who wants to expand, place yourself out of your comfort and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. Another thing, stay social and make new friends. Here's one thing I can say about my mom.
My mom says no cooked fruit.
No cooked fruit. I know. Ain't gonna touch it. Ain't gonna touch it. Fruit. Right. But my mom can go anywhere and make friends. Yeah. I mean, she ends up with a whole community of people because she'll go to the Y and she'll go over here and she'll be dancing. Oh, I met this lady. She goes to the farmer's market. Oh, I met her and I was talking to her and oh, I'm friends with her. I mean, you know. So staying social and making new friends, that also introduces new thoughts and perspectives.
Yeah. So I was going to say, in the spirit of being open, don't judge a book by its cover, or don't judge a group of people by your experience with another group of people who dress the same or who look the same. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because you could be missing out on a good time. Or you could learn something new, right?
You can learn something new. Absolutely. Another thing, don't be afraid to ask questions. Yeah. Ask questions.
Hard in 2021. It is, right? Because we're in quarantine, or, you know, with this pandemic, it's hard to be out talking to people. I'm thinking that's what you mean, Gail, but we just have to be creative about it. There's plenty of Facebook groups that are quite active. They do lots of talking during the day.
Yeah. But I think
what was this last tip you said?
Huh?
What was this last tip you just said?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think it's important that, again, going back to that active listening, when you're asking a question, don't presume you already know the answer. Like, if you're going to ask the question, listen to what the answer. No hard not to judge some groups. Oh, hard not to jump some groups when we're talking about socially making new groups. Well, yeah. I mean, again, that might be an exercise one might want to try, you know.
Try it. Try not to.
You want to just try. You know what I mean? You never know. You might want to try. But don't be afraid to ask questions. I think a challenge sometimes is we think we know the answer and they don't want to hear. The presumption is I'm right and you're wrong. Again, a very closed-minded state in place. Oh, you just don't understand. Oh, you just don't know. Oh, you just.
Listen, it's how we got together because we had a lot of questions.
We had a lot of questions and it's taken us very far. You know, as accountability partners, being vulnerable and saying, hey, I just don't know.
No,
I don't know about these things. I should know. I want to know, but I don't know. Everybody think I know, and that's when it becomes hard.
Everybody think I know.
Everybody thinks you know because you kind of present yourself as a confident person,
right?
But I don't really know. So that does take some growth, some inner confidence, esteem to say, I don't know everything. All right. And the last thing, avoid speculation. Good one. Right? Because that means you're filling in the blanks.
Yeah. Being presumptuous.
Being presumptuous and bringing your own perspective, which may or may not be, or could very well be ill-informed about.
Also kissing cousins with being judgmental, right?
Absolutely. So I often have conversations with people about, and I have to challenge people, because if you're people who are low income, middle income, and say wealthy, really approach things from different perspectives. And sometimes we have on our middle income mindset, and there are ways that we go about. There are understood rules and norms that we get up, we go to work every day. We're working, we're putting money in that 401k, we're saving for a college education. We're going to go, if we can, we want to go get that education. We're not leaving a job unless we have another job, right? We're not cursing out the boss, and we're not getting violent at work. Just some basic things we understand.
Okay.
Now, I say that to say, if you are low income, or you're in survival mode, you really can't think about future things because you are overwhelmed. And so your perspective about what you do and why you do and what you value is very different from someone who stays in the stability mode already. And so I often have to challenge people when they say, oh, I don't understand why they're doing over that. Well, hold on for a second. They're in survival mode.
Yeah.
Take it out of, you got money in the savings bank and you got money in the check and you got air, you got food, right? And you're not worried about it. You got healthcare and you feel good. What if you don't have any of that? And what if you're suffering with real trauma?
Yeah.
And you don't know how you're going to listen. All you got is the moment. Yeah. And you don't think about tomorrow because it hasn't happened yet.
I think in that vein that we should not take things personally. Whenever there's someone, at work that seems like a jerk.
Work or personal life? And personal life. Work and personal life, absolutely.
Oh, seriously, that's not nice. If they seem like a jerk, I make up a story in my head that says, maybe he's unhappy in his marriage at home. Yeah. Right? And you're just bringing that unhappiness to work. Or, there's many stories I make up to try and be like, oh, they're not being mean to me specifically, when, I don't know, in actuality, maybe they just are mean people, but it helps me to not react in a way, right? Yeah. So Brene Brown talks about that, right? She says, you can't have an opinion on anything or respond, or you shouldn't respond to until you 150% know the facts to be true. And if you don't know anything. You simply don't. And so you can go to a person and say, so the story I'm telling myself is blah, 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 blah. So I might say to Tasha, Tasha, every time we work out, you just seem to be late. Now, granted, I'm probably the one who's been late lately. I'm just giving this as an example. Everybody, it's been tough. I do a whole lot of, give me 2 minutes, get the coal out of my eye. But, right. And so you might sit there and say, oh, Sharon doesn't even want to work out. She really hates working out. Or she doesn't want to work out with me. Or she's really not committed. Because if she was, why would she be doing this? Because it can only be this thing. Right. Because this is what you did. It can only mean this. You don't consider that there are other perspectives on how you can approach things. Yeah. And so it just simply I'm so glad that we work out in the morning. I need you, because when we don't have a time, it's real on both sides. It's real. Listen, being open it's a process, and I think it's something that you choose every day. It is. Yeah. It's also something where you have to look at yourself. It's a very let's look at myself in the mirror. How am I responding and why am I responding? Because oftentimes it's about something internal, right?
whether it's a fear that you have from the past, whether it's a trauma that's happened in your past, that's what you're responding to.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily fair.
The second part, do you like it? My answer is sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't like to be open.
Is it sometimes?
It's not comfortable.
Is it sometimes?
It's sometimes.
I don't mind being open. I do like it. I enjoy it. I like being challenged. I like being made better. I like being opening up to new learning thoughts, understanding that there's a different way to look at it, because it just helps me to be a better communicator.
In some situations.
Huh?
I do. Me too. In some situations. Some things are good the way they are, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And see, I'm like, can it get better? Right? Is there a way to make it better? Why wouldn't I see what that looks like? You know what I mean? But that's me. And again, I think as accountability, just bringing it back to accountability before we wrap up tonight, I think it's just so important that if you have people in your life who care about you and they're communicating things, take a moment, listen to what folks have to say. Don't be in a rush to react.
Yeah.
And consider that maybe there is just a different way. Maybe you don't know everything. That's the big thing. Maybe you don't know everything.
Maybe you don't.
Maybe you don't. All right. Well, Tasha, it has been a pleasure as always. Always. I will talk to you soon. I'm going to probably meet you over on Instagram.
Listen, guys, we are taking a break next week. We appreciate you always joining us and tuning in, and we'll do a replay.
We'll do a replay.
We've been doing this for over a year. Can you believe it?
Over a year.
And
so I want to tell anyone, feel free to join us, meet us, get coaching with us. Just go to accountabilityqueens.com. Check us out on Instagram. You'll catch us doing reels. There's a very interesting video of us working out, what that looks like in the morning. Quite ugly, but it's a very real thing.
Right.
But what did we say this week? Our planks, solid.
That's right.
Muscles.
Getting better.
Much better.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight.